AEW Dynamite starts the show off with Ricochet versus Will Ospreay for the International Championship. This was a great match. This was a great match. I will say I was a bit disappointed because the match itself was great, but I did feel like at times they was doing a bit too much for my liking. A lot of flips, the acrobatic stuff, but at times I feel like it was a bit too much. But overall, this was a really great match. Towards the end of the match, though, Will Ospreay ends up he ends up hitting the hidden blade, tries to go for the pin, but then Tanosuke Takeshita ends up attacking Will Ospreay, interfering in the match, causing a disqualification, and then he ends up standing tall, attacking Ricochet and Will, holding the international championship. I will say this. I don't I like the idea because you could go multiple ways with this. Is Don Callis fully turning on Will Ospreay, or is this just Tanosuke Takeshita on his own? You could go multiple ways with this. I will say this: you didn't need to have this match. I feel like this match was pointless. You didn't need to have this match to make it a triple threat at Wrestle Dream because it is official that they're having it a triple threat. But you didn't need this to happen now in order to set this up. You didn't. You really did. You didn't need to have this match be wasted for them to have this match at Wrestle Dream. You could have still did the Wrestle Dream match while still having Tanosuke Takeshita not interfere in their match. You could have had it both ways. You could have just not had the match at all and just had it to where Konosuke Takeshita wanted the opportunity and Ricochet and Takeshita both fight it out, and then that ends in a draw. Could have just done it like that, or you could have done it to where they couldn't decide. That way, they ended up making it a triple threat either way. Didn't really need to waste Will Ospreay and Ricochet because this match should have felt bigger to me. It just didn't feel like a big moment, and I feel like it should have felt bigger, especially with the way that a lot of wrestling marks talk about this match. Talk about it like it's the second coming of like Stone Cold and The Rock or something, but like the way it should have felt bigger, and it just didn't for me personally, mainly because I feel like this was just rushed. This shouldn't have happened, but at Wrestle Dream, this being a triple threat, it should be very interesting. I'm assuming Will Ospreay would just win that match because Tanosuke Takeshita, his booking just bad. He gets this push, then he falls down the car. He gets pushed again, then falls down. It's very weird with Tanosuke, so I'm not getting my hopes up. I like him. I don't know how I would like him as champion due to his character, but overall, like I said, the match was great, but I just didn't like the whole having Tanosuke Takeshita ends up interfering. I feel like that was just stupid. Now next, we get Mercedes Moné. She has a segment. She's annoying as always. But in the middle of her segment, MVP ends up interrupting and basically ends up giving her his business card to eventually work with her someday. This could be very interesting. Her being aligned with the new Hurt Business or whatever faction they're building up with MVP can be interesting. Plus, this gives her the microphone worker, the mouthpiece that she desperately needs because we don't need more Mercedes promos. Like, please no. So hopefully this can work. Now, this could just be a swerve and lead to nothing, but this could also lead to something where she's actually in the group. Whatever group that is, whether it's with Bobby Lashley, whether it's with Swerve, whatever. But I'm interested to see how this plays out. Now we end up getting Chris Jericho. Not going to speak too much on this. Basically, Chris Jericho ends up challenging Mark Briscoe. He's been feuding with, the conglomeration for a bit. Calls out Mark Briscoe, challenges him for his Ring of Honor title at Wrestle Dream. Yeah, I don't care. I don't think anyone cares. Like, this is just ridiculous. Look, I understand Ring of Honor is important, but why are we still bringing on Ring of Honor titles on AEW? And why are we defending them on AEW pay-per-views? Like, really? Like, this is the new low for Chris Jericho? Like, we're just gonna, like, I like Mark. Well, I'm not gonna say I like Mark Briscoe. I understand his gimmick and his character. I just can't resonate with it that much. But yeah, I just don't get it. I just don't get it personally. Like, I guess. I mean, I'm probably not gonna watch the match probably, but it is what it is. I don't really have much to say. Yeah, I just feel like this is just filler, and this is just not that important and just stupid. Now we end up getting Darby Allin. He ends up basically offering an open challenge at Wrestle Dream because he doesn't have anything to do since he gave up his title opportunity like a moron. But he basically talks about how he wants to prove himself and how he keeps failing and how he basically wants to prove himself to be the guy that he think he is. Don't know who would challenge Darby Allin personally because Darby Allin is in a weird position where he can be a main event talent, but he's not a main event talent. Like he's in that weird position where you can put him in the world title scene, but he's not quite world title ready. Like it's very confusing because you can't really push him the way that some would want him because the world title scene is busy. The TNT Championship scene is busy, and he won it like a million times, so I highly doubt anyone wants to see that. I wouldn't mind it, but then the Continental title, that's busy. So there's really nothing much for him to do unless he becomes a tag team, but who will be his tag team partner? So he's in a weird predicament. I'm excited to see what he does at Wrestle Dream because it's Darby Allin. Any match with him would be amazing. I'm just interested to see what's next for him because he's in a weird situation right now. Now we end up getting Hangman versus Juice Robinson. Not gonna speak too much on it. Hangman ends up beating Juice Robinson. This got set up on Collision, but Hangman after the match ends up attacking Juice Robinson. He tries to hang him like he did last week, but then Jay White. Right back. Yes! He whipped him out! Hangman needs something to ride off the momentum of what he did at All Out. He needs something, and this is great. Jay White. Now, I'm very interested to see how they book Jay White coming back from injury. I love Jay White. I would love for him to win this feud, but I don't know if he will because I feel like Hangman needs to continue to ride the momentum. Also, it's good thing Jay White is back because man, the Bullet Club Gold needs something because man, they have been so dry, so boring without Jay White. They need Jay White desperately. But to be fair, that's what happens when you lose your main star of your group. It's going to happen. So, of course, but I'm glad that Jay White's back because Jay White is one of my favorites in AEW. I am glad he's back, and him and Hangman, the promos, the matches should be amazing. I can't wait. Now we end up getting a quick segment with Jack Perry. He was about to enter the arena, but then Shibata interrupts him and basically ends up calling him out at Wrestle Dream. Jack Perry then pretends like he was going to think about it, but he ends up just attacking Shibata, ends up accepting the match, I guess. Not gonna really speak too much on this because this is just filler. We all know Jack Perry's gonna win, and we all know Shibata has no shot, but it is what it is. Now we end up getting Britt Baker versus Serena Deeb. Not same thing. Not gonna speak too much on this match. Britt Baker ends up winning, but then after the match, Serena Deeb ends up attacking Britt Baker. Then comes out Queen Empanada, comes in for the save. We know Serena Deeb, Queen Empanada, they've been feuding on Collision if I'm not mistaken. I will say this. I'm not the most excited about this, but I am somewhat intrigued only because they're finally using their women's division. Because outside of like 4 women, they don't have a women's division. They just don't. So if this is a thing that they're going to continue on Dynamite, I would actually get invested in this. But knowing their history, they're probably going to only showcase this for a bit and then it moves on. Now, Mariah May was also in this segment. Well, she was watching the match, which I am kind of confused because she was watching it, but it doesn't look like she's going to be inserted into the feud because later in the show, it looks like they're going to continue that Willow and Mariah May storyline. So I don't know why she was watching it if she's not going to be a part of the feud, but we'll see how this plays out. Next, we end up getting Mariah May and Willow. Mariah May talking trash about Willow Nightingale, then Willow ends up interrupting. They have their little back and forth. Then they end up brawling for a bit, then security breaks them up. This is what I mean. You have this feud here, but then you have her also watching the match. But it's like if she's not going to be a part of the feud with Britt Baker, Serena Deeb, and Queen, then I don't understand the point of her watching the match if you're just going to have her face Willow, which I'm assuming maybe will be at Wrestle Dream. It's not confirmed, but I'm assuming. Also, too, I love Willow Nightingale. I can't wait to see when they fight because that match should be a banger. But why is she having a title opportunity? She just lost to Chris Statlander at All Out. So wouldn't Chris Statlander be the #1 contender if she beat Willow? I'm just saying, from a logical perspective, it makes no sense for Willow to have a title opportunity when Chris Statlander should be the one to have it. And also, where is Chris Statlander? She just beat Willow Nightingale, one of the most popular women in your division, and you just not have her on TV. Like this, I don't get it. I don't understand it. Like, I don't understand it. And the thing is, I don't even like Chris Statlander like that, to be honest with you, as a character. In ring wise, she's great, but as a character, no. But still, it's like you have her beat Willow in this, supposed to be this great feud, and then you just not put her on TV after a win. It makes no sense. It makes no sense. But we'll just see where this goes, though. Now we end up getting Private Party. They come out. They face some jobbers. They end up calling out the Young Bucks because they want the tag team titles. The Young Bucks then end up coming out. They pretend like they was gonna accept it, but they end up declining the offer. Then Jack Perry comes from behind, attack them. Then the Young Bucks ends up coming in and attacking Private Party. But then Shibata ends up coming out. Shibata ends up coming out. The Elite ends up coming leaving the ring. Christopher Daniels then gets on the microphone. He gets on the mic and basically ends up making it a trios match on Rampage. Oh my god, this was so dumb and so stupid. First of all, Private Party was just feuding with Blackpool Combat Club. Now they're just gonna forget about that and beef with the Young Bucks. Okay. Now he did acknowledge that his hand was messed up, but you don't want payback. You're just gonna forget about that. That okay, perfectly fine. Okay. Now here's the thing. I wouldn't have minded this if it wasn't on Rampage because now I'm not gonna act like I'm a big fan of Private Party. I don't care, but it's like why on Rampage? Just by them putting it on Rampage just tells me everything I need to know about this weak feud. It just tells me that it's not important and that I shouldn't get invested in it because why is it on Rampage? Why? Like seriously, why? Like why? Look, we already know that the Young Bucks are not losing their titles anytime soon, but the fact that they make this a trios match made it even worse, if I'm being honest, because I don't think we need a trios match. To be honest, you could just have them have one. You could just have them have a tag team match at Wrestle. Because what are the Young Bucks doing at Wrestle Dream? If I'm being honest, they're not doing anything. So it's like you could. Maybe I'm tripping. Like I'm not saying it would have been the most entertaining match, but it would have been better than what they're getting now. If I'm being honest, it's but it is what it is. Like it sounds like I'm complaining a lot. Look, tonight's show was not bad. It wasn't bad. It was decent, but it's a lot of flaws and a lot of flaws in the booking decisions that they're making. Now we end up getting MVP. He ends up getting interviewed by Renee, but then Prince Nana ends up interrupting. You know, he felt disrespected last week, but then in the middle of this, Shelton Benjamin ends up making his AEW debut, and he will be aligned with MVP, of course, as most predicted. So this probably is signaling that most likely Bobby Lashley will be joining AEW pretty soon, probably at Wrestle Dream, maybe. I don't know where he would fit on Wrestle Dream, but maybe. But I am very interested to see how this new Hurt Business, whatever they're going to call themselves, interested to see how this plays out. Now we get the main event. Okada versus Bryan Danielson. Not going to speak much on this match because I honestly didn't care. I felt like the stipulation was also stupid. Okada's title, the Continental title, was only on the line for the first 20 minutes. I feel like that stipulation can work, but I also feel like it's kind of stupid at the same time. But this match was good. Nothing amazing, but it was a good match. Bryan Danielson ends up winning with the help of Blackpool Combat Club distracting Okada, which allowed him to get a roll-up pin. Then Blackpool Combat Club tries to attack Bryan Danielson, but Willow Yuta ends up coming in for the save, aligning himself with Bryan Danielson. Then Willow Yuta basically gets on the microphone. He basically says that he's finally going to stand up for himself. He's tired of being treated like an outcast, like a child, and that he challenges Pac and Claudio. And then Bryan Danielson basically ends up aligning himself with Yuta. So it's going to be a tag team match on Tuesday. Dynamite is going to be on Tuesday next week, so that's going to be interesting. One thing I will say is, what are they going to do with the Trios Championships? Because if Yuta is not going to be a part of Blackpool Combat Club, why do they still have the Trios titles? Like, are they just going to strip them away from the tag team titles? I mean, from the Trios titles? Because Christopher Daniels, when the Bullet Club Gold was Trios champions, they stripped them of the Trios championships only because of Jay White injury. So if Willow Yuta leaves the group, that doesn't make him a Trios champion anymore. So are they going to strip them, or are they just going to keep them for storyline reasons? You guys let me know. Maybe I'm tripping. Overall, this was a decent show. It was a decent show. Stories did progress, but overall, there was a lot of flaws in it. But overall, it was a decent show. But you guys let me know your opinions down below. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe. But yeah, that's it.